Alright, we're going to kick off this video real quickly about cutting EVA marine flooring material. I'm going to set up a little project. It's 26 and a half by, or 26 and a quarter by 18, and we're just going to draw out a little mat. So I'm going to start with this basic rectangle of the shape of the material, the size of the material, and we're going to go ahead and just offset that in about 1.5 inches. That'll be the outline of your mat. Let's go ahead and radius these corners here. Let's just say another 1.5 inch radius, all four corners, and there we go. There's the perimeter or outside edge of your mat project. Let's offset that to the inside about 1 inch to give us a border detail, just like so. And then we're going to lay out some teak lines, and we're just going to do basic. We're going to start with putting a line here in the middle, and then we're going to offset it to this side and this side, just for the sake of this video, 2.5 inches, just like that. And that pretty much is your basic layout. Now what we like to do is, see how these lines here touch. When the OG bit will go around, will do its thing and trace the lines, it will cut all the way to the end. Well, it may not be covered when the OG comes around and does this line profile, border line I mean, and there could be little, say, indents or something that show through. So what we like to do is we'll offset this line right here about 0.11 of an inch, and we'll go ahead and delete the inner line, so now you have this little gap, and that takes care of that. We'll show that a little bit later. Again, if you want to put a logo in this, this is like how we like to do this. This is our company's logo, Crossway Composites. And you see you got the lines penetrating through the logo. You kind of want to clean that up, and you want to give a gap between the line and the logo itself, so it's not, you know, running right up tight to it. It's just kind of like we did here. So to do that, I'll put an offset about 1/2 inch around each one of the C's, and just slowly, you know, disconnect or get rid of the lines and get them out of there, and that cleans that up. And then you can delete the offsets and any residual pieces, and there you have it. And we'll save this as a DXF and move it over to VCarve Pro. Alright, here we're open on VCarve Pro. We're going to start with the center logo. We'll go ahead and do that as a pocket profile. We'll select all three of those. We'll go to pocket. We want to use a 1/8 inch end mill. Now it doesn't matter, it's going to be an OG profile, but the machine doesn't know that, and just for the sake of simplicity, we keep it all as an 1/8 inch profile. Editing kind of looks like this. It's diameter 1/8 inch, number of flutes 2, pass depth 0.3, step over 0.05. Spindle speed is 18,000. We have a feed rate of 6,500. You can set your plunge rate a little higher than 20, but for the most part, this is right on the money. Let's go get out of here. And we're going to go 0.155 deep. Now that should be just enough to penetrate through the top layer of the material into the black backer, and just a little bit beyond, so it kind of looks like it's intentional, but not close enough that the material might tear on you. We set this up with a raster in the conventional direction with a 45-degree angle, and a profile pass set for last. Go ahead and calculate, and that's what it looks like. We'll preview that in a minute. Next, you're going to want to do your lines. All this is with the OG bit, I'm sorry, but again, they're all done with the 1/8 inch from the tool library. Let's do the lines next. Again, you're going to want to go both directions, climb and conventional on these, and the simplest way to do that is just grab the lines, close out, go to your tool path, select on the line. Again, your depth is going to be 0.155, end mill 1/8 inch, same settings as for the pocket, and you're going to go climb first, calculate, and go hit close, go back, open that again, keep everything selected, just go ahead and switch over to conventional, hit calculate, and boom, you've got both of those selected, and you can see you've got arrows pointing both ways on all those lines when you go back to the 2D view. You're going to want to do the same thing with the border outline, both climb and conventional. You can't do both at the same time because it'll get funky on you. So let's go ahead and do the climb and the conventional the same way we did just the regular lines. And there's our print preview. We can go ahead and preview all toolpaths for that, and that's what it should look like. Go back to 2D view. We'll re-highlight all of these, and there you go. You can see all the lines, and the border outline has arrows going both ways, so you know you're going to climb a conventional. As you'll see further in the video, that we don't need to do that for the pocket. The final finish pass will do that, especially when you're rastering at a 45-degree angle or something similar. Let's move on. Let's do the same bit, or same bit from the toolpath, but now we're going to select the outside profile, and we're going to use this line twice, one for the round over and one for the drag knife. So first I like to start off by selecting a point on the right hand side of the drawing, closer to a corner but not quite at it, and I'll designate that as the start point now, and get back out of that. Let's go ahead and program. Same settings as the OG bit for the initial round over. So 1.155 1/8" bit on the line. Only this time you only need to go conventional. You don't need to do both directions. Alright, so that's finished. Preview that, go back to 2D view. Alright, while the line's still selected, let's go back and select the toolpath again. We'll change the depth to our setting is 0.235, and we're going to set up for the drag knife cut. And we'll go to our tool base here, which our drag knife is set up a diameter of 0.02, a pass depth of 0.47, a step over of 0.008, spindle speed is 0, feed rate is 100, plunge again is 20, but it could be a little bit higher. Hit select, okay, and again we're on the line. We're going to have the same starting point, and we're going to go ahead and calculate that, and we don't need to do another preview. It's just going to look the same. The reason we don't use, over here you have the gadget drag knife tool, is the way it sets it up. It programs the machine to do a little teardrop type maneuver, whereas if you use over here in the fillet tools, you can create a radius and you can select plasma or drag knife fillet, which now any sharp corner you might have, you can actually put around a loop that the drag knife will follow. It works so much better than the gadgets that are in here, so we tend not to use that. Let's move on to yeah, I've already have done this before. I've programmed all these for what they're supposed to be in the machine, so we'll just move on to the next part of the video. Alright, everything is loaded in. We're ready to start. Let's go ahead and start with the basics. These are the 3 bits you're going to use. It's a Yonico OG. They call it a 1/2" diameter, 1/4" shank, and we have a white side 3/16 round over, or 1/8" round over would work, but 3/16 is fairly good for this thickness of material. You can see both have been set with a shaft collar. Basically, we only have to do the bit heights one time for these 2 operations, since it makes bit changing very easy. And then we have, of course, the Donic drag knife to cut everything out. I'm going to go ahead and pause this now and get set up, and we'll try to run this without the vacuum so you can kind of see what it does when it's going, and we'll pause and then move forward. It kind of looks like it's a clip video. Okay, we had to turn the vacuum on, so the rest of this video will be little clips of the vacuum running, or with the vacuum running, so not a whole lot of me talking, thank God. But you can see the 1/8 inch bit is running the pocket right now, and it's just conventional run. So as this gets ready to finish up the pocket of this 1C, you can see it's pretty fuzzy around the edges. It hasn't done its final profile pass yet, so give it a second. You can see some of the lines look fuzzy just yet. It's just doing the first pass. It'll clean all that up with the second pass. Alright, so we've gone ahead and cut the OG and the roundover parts, and we set up the Donic drag knife. We have it aimed following the Y. We've had our start position aimed for right here. And basically we don't use the gadget or the wizard in VCarve Pro for our drag knives. And there's a couple reasons for that, but I can go into the detail about that in a minute. Let's go ahead and hit run. Main part is you always want to do closed surfaces whenever possible, and you always want them to start and end going the same way. So if you have multiples, they all start in a relatively similar place, so the drag knife doesn't have to change positions. If you have sharp corners, there are things in the fillet tool inside VCarve that will allow you to do loops. So you can program all your corners for sharp corners and stuff like that with a radius loop that the drag knife will follow. It's actually pretty neat. But for whatever reason, the gadget for drag knife on VCarve just doesn't seem to work too well for this kind of thing, so we just don't use it. And will you move this back? Move the machine out of the way a second, and pretty much there you have it. You have a little bit of fuzzies on the edge that mostly will wipe off. You hit it with a little bit of sandpaper, nice and lightly. Sorry, I'll try to keep the camera on the mat, but that's it in a nutshell. Hope this helps.